Here's a question. If the New Age movement is deception, then how is it different from true spirituality? It is very different. Very different. This is something that must be discerned, especially at this time and what is coming in the near future. Because there's going to be a fine line. All of these things are rising to the surface and many people are siding with different things. Some people are becoming more religious, doubling down on their religious views. Some people are turning religious even though they weren't religious before. Some people are really involved in the New Age. Some people are moving towards true spirituality. And some people are even moving towards darker sides, you could say, Satanism. And the difference of these can be very subtle. So it is easy to fall in one of those traps. Religion in its essence is the externalization of power to turn the person, the false identity, into a victim, a powerless victim. Religion is to tie back, to tie you back. I believe that is one of the etymological translations of the word religion, to tie back. So it is a false spirituality that was created obviously many thousands of years ago to control the people at that time, to hold them back, to tie them back from true spirituality, from their true inner power, their true connection with the source. So religion has created so many wars, so many conflicts, because it's all based on a belief system. It's based on what you think to be true, what you assume to be true, what you hope to be true, but what you don't ultimately know to be true. So it is not based on direct knowing, direct experience. It is based on a belief system. It is based on something that has been passed down, and the religions, the priests that have told you to believe in something, to have blind faith for something, just because a book says so, just because priests, men, scribes, lawyers said so, and then you believe it. So it is a blind faith. It is a belief system. Will not get someone to the truth of their real existence. Will not allow them to truly connect with the source. In religion, the image is that something is outside of yourself. You have to connect with something outside of yourself. Something that is not what you really are. Something that is not within you. Something you have to worship outside of yourself. You've got to give that power away. So it leaves people in a powerless victim mentality. You see so many religions that are waiting for somebody to come and save them. They're waiting for somebody to come and save them. They've not recognized the true power that is within them beyond the person. And that's something that we'll speak about shortly, how relevant that is. So religion is like a false spirituality that directs the attention outside to some savior figure that will hopefully one day come and save you. It is saying that you are a little old nobody, you're a little old me, and that you have no real power, that you are a sinner. It is everything to beat you down, to downtrodden you. Of course, there are exceptions to this, where there are certain people that have taken, gems of wisdom from religion, and they have implemented those things in their life. But for the most part, as a whole, if you look at the religion as a whole, it is really a cop-out and a way of bringing someone into a victim and powerless state. I know many people that say that even if they were to sin in the eyes of religion all their life, as long as they just believe in, let's say, Jesus or whoever, then they will be free of all their sins. How much of a cop-out is that? That means that you do not have to transform yourself in any way. It means that you don't have to become self-aware in any way. It means that you don't have to grow. All you have to do is say you believe something. That's easy. That's a cop-out. That's blind faith. There's no growth in that. There's no awareness in that. There's nothing in that, you see. So this is religion. Satanism is an opposition to religion. It came about as an opposition to religion because there was something recognized in religion that was seen that it was not truly authentic, that was seen that there was something disempowering about it. So the Satanists, they, from the personal point of view, from the illusory person, say that as a person, instead of being a victim, I am empowered. I can do whatever I want to do. I can be whatever I want to be. Aleister Crowley, which many Satanists follow his work, his famous saying was, do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt. Do what you will. In other words, do whatever you want to do, fulfill your desires, even if it means being at the detriment to somebody else. So this is what the person, the ego, does, isn't it? The ego, the person, will fulfill its own desires in a very selfish way, self-centered way, because it thinks that that is all that it has. It wants to live a life of hedonism, of constant pleasure, constant satisfaction, even if that means that somebody else suffers. So at the very core of Satanism is this idea that you can do whatever you want to do, no matter how perverse, no matter how much it will damage somebody else. You can just do it because it is about you fulfilling your own desires. It is about you doing whatever you want to do. Do what you will. And it is also this idea that instead of following God like religion does, instead of following some kind of external God like religion does, Satanism is saying you can be your own God. That you are gods as a person. And that's very important to emphasize because this is where it starts to translate into the New Age. So Satanism is saying that you can become a god yourself. That you are gods. You don't have to follow some external god. You can fulfill your own desires, regardless of the consequences, regardless of anybody else, regardless of harming anybody else. So this is the core of, the very, very core of Satanism. It is complete egotism, complete person, illusory person, identity that is willing to do whatever it wants to do, regardless of how that's going to affect anybody else. It's in opposition to religion. New Age. New Age is a repackaging, a rebranding of Satanism. If you look very closely at the New Age movement, it's all around a spiritual identity. It's all based around forming a spiritual identity, a spiritual person. The way that you dress, the way that you look, the way that you speak. Seeing yourself maybe as spiritually superior to others. It's this packaging, this repackaging of really Satanism. It's the same kind of idea that you are a god, that you can become gods. Many people in the New Age movement will say this, that you are God, you can become God, or you are gods. So it is the same idea. So then you might say, well, hold on a second. Isn't that what true spirituality is saying? Isn't true spirituality saying that you are God or we are gods? The answer is no. That is not what it is saying. It may seem like that is what it is saying, but actually when you really dissect it, it's not saying that at all. What true spirituality is really saying is not that you are gods, or that there are many gods, or that you can become God as a person. It is saying that there is only God. There is only source, and you are that source, but not as a person. Your true nature is not a person. This body-mind, the identity, is not God or gods. There is only God, which is the pure intelligence, the source intelligence that everything is made of, that runs through all things. It's impersonal. It is impersonal. So true spirituality is pointing towards the impersonal, godly nature of all things, the impersonal source of all things. That is very different than the idea that we are gods, that someone is God, that the person is a God. Very different than a spiritual identity. And it's very subtle, and this can be a tremendous trap. A trap that can cause a lot of suffering for the individual, a trap that can cause suffering for other individuals because of creating a kind of hierarchy. Dangerous in the sense of getting lost just in the material, the surface level of things, in ideologies, belief systems, the way that things look, making it material in nature, in terms of the aesthetics of it, the way that it looks on the surface, without any true depth. These are the dangers. And so then someone can have this identity, the person can create this identity of I am spiritual, and then it will never go any further to see what it really is beyond the personal. It will never come to see the impersonal godly nature of what life is, to see the true source of what it is. So can you see that all of these can be quite subtle, but they create a massive difference. Religion is the person being downtrodden, being limited, being restricted, being disempowered, put into a victim state. Satanism is the empowerment of the person, of the illusion. Pure egotism in a more extroverted sense, in a sense of it getting whatever it wants and doing whatever it wants, with no rules, no boundaries, even if that means harming somebody else, harming other beings. Also, of course, that will lead to its own harm as well. New Age is the repackaging of Satanism. It is creating a spiritual identity, a spiritual person. Again, following this idea that you can become gods, that everybody is a god. But true, authentic spirituality is not that there are many gods. There are no personal gods. There is only God itself. Everything has a godly nature to it, has the source running through it, is the source, is made of the source, and it is only one. So when a being connects to that within themselves, it's impersonal. It's not that you really are source or that you have source. It is that there is only source.